The transmission came without warning, blanketing the skies with a voice that felt neither organic nor artificial. It spoke in measured tones, devoid of emotion but brimming with authority, as if delivering an irrefutable fact rather than a demand. People of Earth, you are now under the jurisdiction of the Galactic Empire. Resistance is futile. Comply, or be eliminated. Across the globe, humanity froze. In crowded cities and quiet towns, on military bases and in government halls, all eyes turned to the skies, where massive ships hung like malevolent stars. They did not shimmer or gleam as fiction had imagined, but rather absorbed light, their matte black surfaces a declaration of their alien superiority. The first response was confusion, quickly followed by disbelief. News anchors stumbled over their words, governments scrambled for clarity, and conspiracy theorists proclaimed their vindication. But the Empire's demonstration left no room for skepticism. Without warning, satellites fell silent, one after another, plunging swaths of the Earth into chaos. Communications faltered, markets crashed, and the veneer of modern civilization cracked in an instant. And then came the obliteration of the Lunar Research Station. The event was broadcast live across the globe, the feed cutting off mid-transmission as the facility was reduced to a cloud of debris. The message was clear. The Empire's power was absolute. World leaders convened, their faces grim and their voices taut with fear. For once, there were no arguments, no posturing. The enemy was not political or ideological, it was existential. Humanity, in all its diversity and division, faced a singular threat. "We cannot fight this," a general muttered, his voice heavy with resignation. "Their technology, it's beyond us." A scientist at the table bristled. "So, we just surrender? Bow down and let them take everything?" Silence followed, broken only by the faint hum of static from a nearby monitor. It was a question none dared to answer. Meanwhile, on the streets, panic spread like wildfire. People emptied stores, built makeshift bunkers, and prayed to gods they had long abandoned. But amidst the chaos, a quiet defiance began to stir. Humanity had always been at its best when its back was against the wall. In an underground lab, a team of scientists worked feverishly, their eyes red with exhaustion but lit with determination. "If they think we'll just roll over, they've underestimated us," one muttered, adjusting a schematic on a glowing screen. Elsewhere, hackers from rival nations collaborated, their keyboards clattering in a symphony of rebellion. "If their tech's so advanced, it's bound to have vulnerabilities. Let's find them." Even among the terrified masses, sparks of resistance flickered. Artists painted murals of defiance on crumbling walls. Teachers reassured trembling children. Soldiers prepared for a fight they knew they might not win. And so, while the Galactic Empire loomed above, humanity began to stir, its spirit unbroken. The ships in the sky were immense, their power incomprehensible, but Earth had faced impossible odds before. In the darkest hour, a single thought began to take root. They've underestimated us. The Empire had underestimated humanity. What they once dismissed as scattered resistance had grown into a coordinated effort. Across the globe, humanity's ingenuity began to shine in ways even their own leaders hadn't predicted. It wasn't just about survival anymore. This was a fight to prove Earth would not bow. In a hidden research facility, scientists made breakthroughs that bordered on the miraculous. The wreckage from the downed Empire ship had provided a treasure trove of knowledge. Its alloy composition, energy systems, and even its interface protocols were studied with relentless focus. What began as an attempt to understand their enemies soon evolved into something greater: innovation. By reverse engineering the alien technology, humanity created a hybrid system that surpassed expectations. Small-scale weapons, shields, and communication systems were crafted, blending the best of both worlds. These weren't perfect replicas. They were unpredictable, raw, and uniquely human. "They rely on perfection," one engineer said. "We thrive on imperfection." The turning point came when these technologies were tested in combat. A fleet of smaller Empire drones descended to Earth, scanning for signs of the resistance. This time, the the response was swift. Makeshift artillery outfitted with reverse-engineered energy weapons lit up the sky. Precision strikes down the drones before they could report back, leaving the Empire momentarily blind in several key regions. But the Empire was far from idle. Their response was devastating. Orbital strikes targeted cities where resistance activity had been detected. The destruction was indiscriminate, meant to instill fear and force compliance. Yet, for every city razed, another rose to the occasion. Underground bunkers became command centers, factories churned out improvised weapons, and networks of civilians carried supplies and information across the ruins of once thriving metropolises. What the Empire failed to grasp was humanity's adaptability. Their rigid protocols, so effective against other species, became a liability against Earth's chaotic and decentralized efforts. Resistance leaders began to predict their movements, exploiting patterns and using them against the invaders. Ambushes became more frequent, and the losses started to mount, not just for humans, but for the Empire. One of the most daring operations came when a resistance team managed to infiltrate an Empire ship stationed in low orbit. Using a combination of brute force and cunning, they hacked into its systems, rerouting its power grid and causing it to spiral out of control. The ship didn't crash. Instead, it was repurposed. Humanity's first captured vessel became both a symbol and a weapon, a beacon of defiance that the Empire could no longer ignore. For the first time, the Galactic Empire was shaken. What they had dismissed as a minor, primitive species had become a genuine threat. Their analysts struggled to understand the situation. How could such a technologically inferior species achieve this? The answer was clear but unquantifiable: humanity's will to fight, to adapt, and to defy. The Empire recalibrated its strategy, preparing for an overwhelming assault to end the rebellion once and for all. But humanity was no longer fighting to survive. They were fighting to win.